the TV's fine in the background. Okay. Well,
No, it's fine.
no, you guys are good. Welcome to Saturday Morning Coffee. The method of this is a little different this weekend. We are down south. A little bit right now. We are at Faith's mom's house, Faith's parents' house. So joining with me is Nicole. Nicole, say hi.
Hey.
Hi. So, both of our Saturday morning routines have been interrupted. Normally I'm at home and I am the only one awake, probably in the entire complex, when I'm doing this. What are you normally doing on a Saturday morning?
Saturday morning in the fall from September through January is football season, and we are a football house, and so Saturday morning is college football game day, and grandpa come over, and grandma not so much, but grandpa Nathaniel and I watch college game day and drink coffee. So that's our Saturday morning tradition for most of the year. And then the rest of the year we're really sad and we just cry into our coffee on Saturday mornings.
Oh no. That's not depressing.
It kind of is. Come around here on March on a Saturday is kind of sad.
Jeez. Okay. Well, this weekend was supposed to be, or rather, it is my 10-year high school graduation reunion, and not unfortunately, I ended up having alternative plans, and so I went to the dinner last night, and I'm skipping the rest of the events to go to my friend's housewarming party. I cannot believe it, but in this economy, he managed to get a house built, and he's moved into it.
Wow.
I'm very shocked. I can't imagine the size of that loan, though.
Buying
But,
houses and renting is crazy.
He is very successful in his landscaping work, so I think that might have been, the hello, Fergie. The dog just walked up. Finally noticed him here. She wasn't a very good guard dog. Didn't even come out and greet us when we got home last night.
Recognize anybody that came to our house in the middle of the night.
But bringing it back to the conversation, I spent a lot of time debating about whether or not to go to my 10-year reunion. I was very unsure of it, and then I read some articles, and they were like good. I was like, okay, I see the value, I see the point. I'll go just to see how different some people are. Spoiler alert, I didn't really see too much difference.
No.
Popular kids still sat at the popular tables, didn't really look at us.
Yep.
I'd say, and I'm not really friends with most of the people. Also, shocker, I only stayed friends with my female friends. It's the only people I managed to maintain a relationship with after high school. And so I sat with them, and we had a good time. But I saw a really good article on the 11th. Now, this was an article around 9/11, but I think it's pretty applicable. Its title was, I don't have the title, but what I have is a quote from it. It's I do have the title.
Good.
Anniversaries are reminders to check in on our past selves. That's the title of the article. And a quote from it was, they're like checkpoints in time, reminders to pull over and remember the people we used to be. And I thought this was perfect after we found out that there was this time capsule at the 10-year reunion.
Oh, look at you.
And when we graduated, we all wrote letters to ourselves.
Yes, that's awesome.
To be opened 10 years later.
So you wrote this when you were a senior in high school?
Yeah, I wrote this in 2014.
Okay.
Now, I think that this letter is pretty cringy, but I think it does. I'll read the letter and then we'll get into what I think from it. You can judge me if you want. I'll accept it.
Well, I'll just say this right now, that when you're a senior in high school, you think you are the bomb, and the world revolves around, and there's nothing outside of you when you're a senior in high school. So right there, that,
I would say, though, counterpoint, I was a very, very depressed high school student. Very few friends.
That was a very big generalization I made, for sure. But yeah.
Yeah, I had some other things going on. But here's my letter.
Okay.
Now, one thing to note is that there was a song called Selfie that came out just shortly before this. A very cringy song. And that informed this letter a little bit. You best be better taking. You best better be taking selfies all day, day. Apostrophe er. Still, sorry. Where's them abs? Did not get those
Where's the what?
abs.
Oh, okay.
How's the stripper job? Pole dancing going good? Still got those twerking skills?
Well,
Oh,
maybe.
and I hope you remember to get rich. Definitely not. Thank you, student loans.
Yeah.
Congratulations on making it closer to you and a friend's wedding.
True.
Very quickly found out afterwards that he was not a real friend.
Oh.
Yeah, very quickly after this letter was written, I found out just how shallow that relationship actually was. Enjoy those nightclubs you built. Advice, man, just think about all those friends from back then. Get a pizza and go play some Halo. Just remember, everyone who loves you, draw whatever you want to. So
There are some definite truths in there. Like, remember the ones who love you, and you still are into Halo because I've heard you talk about it. And so, yeah. But it's interesting to look back on
I think one of the things I see when I read this is I always loved throwing get-togethers. And I threw a lot of parties at my mom's house that were more just everyone come over and hang out. And I in this, I see the socialite Michael desperately and so close to coming out. And I think that college and joining fraternity only helped bring that out a little bit more and helped me become more social and be able to like talk more. And so using this as like a checkpoint to look back on myself, like I definitely see how I've become more of a social person and like able to express that a little bit more and more confident and being who I am and actually like going outside of my friendship like circle. And so I don't know, I can see how parts of me and how quickly I was able to like really grow out of my shell after high school after reading this letter, despite how cringy it is.
There's still some nuggets of truth in there that even
Yeah.
though you wrote it in the style of the song of the time, like you said, it's still, there's some parts of you in there that you can find. Yep. The wanting to be social. And like you said, 10 years does amazing things for a human, especially when you're 18 and then you're 28. So, 18-year-olds think they've got it all figured out sometimes. And even at 28, you might think you have it all figured out sometimes. But life experiences, I tell you. Yep.
Yeah. So I'm wondering, in your life, has there been any anniversaries where they've acted as natural checkpoints for you, and you found yourself like really thinking about who you used to be?
Well, we just celebrated our 25th wedding anniversary, so that one for sure. We had the big party, everybody, lots of people here, and just a reminder of all the people who've been around us for 52 years for me. Is that how old I am? 50, yes. It's bad. You have to do math to figure out how old you are. 25 years, just seeing all the people who have been around us for that long and kept us, and remembering that, and maybe it's a shocker to some people, but it's not all highs and pretty. There's definitely lows, and you think about those times and remember the really low lows and how we got to where we are now, where we're probably on a pretty good high at the moment. So, yeah. It is good to look back, though, and realize, hey, that's where I used to be, and I'm glad I'm not there anymore. I'm glad I am the person I am now.
Yeah. From the person I was when I graduated high school, I am very glad that I'm not the same person I am, because I was very depressed back then, and I didn't have as many life experiences to try and really like understand how like life works. Mostly just because like of the extreme amount of responsibility I had to take on as a young child, and that continued all the way up until my junior year of high school. And it's not like it's a switch you can just turn off, you know? So even though my mom said, all right, you don't have to do this anymore.
You don't have to anymore.
How the hell am I, like, first of all, I don't even know how. Second of all, like, what is that even? Like, I just was at a complete loss. Like, you can't just tell me to turn off this lifelong switch and expect me to know how to do it
Yeah.
or be comfortable doing it. So, um, yeah. I know my mom had offered therapy, but I must have said no to it or like been uncomfortable with it or didn't want to like spend more time in it. But I wish that I had been forced into doing more therapy, to be a little bit more well adjusted, going into college.
But that also would have put you on a different path. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like we go back and wish we had done certain things or we had made different decisions, but that would have put you on a different trajectory and you would not be where you are right now with my
Yeah.
daughter. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So we look back and wish we had, but then it
But
would
everything would be
put you where
different.
you are. So
Yeah. All right. You just got back from an Alaskan cruise.
yes, we did.
How was that?
It was so awesome. You can probably tell. I cannot stop grinning about it. We
Yeah.
spent 10 days not worrying about a single damn thing.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't worry about house renovations or weddings or school plans or cancer or nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And we just watched the ocean go by. That's it. That's all I needed. That's all Nate
Yeah.
needed. And we will definitely go back.
Okay.
More
So you
than
do it again.
we are going back. We're not into tropical things. Give me Alaska again.
Okay. Before this, have you ever done a cruise?
No.
Okay.
Nate and I have always talked about doing a cruise. Ever since I've met him, we've talked about doing a cruise. But we were
Okay.
talking when we were younger, and woo, we were going to go tropical. But now that we're older and want to stay covered up, we decided that anyway.
Yeah. So you were interested in cruises before this.
Yeah, but not
Okay. Not an Alaskan style.
well. No, and not in a way that we like totally pursued it until some friends. This was their 4th trip to Alaska, and they have told us about it every time. And finally, they said, "You are coming with us." It wasn't a question, and so we're like, "Okay." I'm telling you what, it is the best thing that we have. It's one of the best trips we have ever taken.
Nice.
So-
Okay. So I personally
I
have
wanna
always
know.
been very against the idea of a cruise. I think what it is just being young and not wanting to be trapped in one location. I wanted to one of my biggest things is going and seeing geographical things. Like I want not just the ocean. I would want I show up and I want to go out into the a country's backcountry and see what their mountains look like and see what their special features are and things like that. And then getting authentic food, local food. And I always felt like I wouldn't be able to do that on a cruise. And even when we docked into islands and stuff, I felt like, okay, we're going to be stuck in the tourist area. That's not really going to give me the authentic food. And those are the two most important things for me when I travel is trying authentic local food and seeing nature. So I've always been really against it, but I'm going to be honest, after going through the wedding planning and stuff, and then still having to also plan the honeymoon has been very stressful. And there's a cruise that just goes around the Greek islands and that sea right there. And I've thought about it. I was like, might taking the stress off of planning all this travel after I just had all the stress of planning the wedding has really made me kind of reconsider cruises to some small extent. And unfortunately, Faith has vehemently said no to cruises.
Well, we will have a discussion with her.
So
because she hasn't gotten to talk to me about our cruise yet. And I will tell you that our friend was right. Once you get on the ship and you are in your room and your bags are there and the weight just melts away. And for 10 days, you don't have to worry about anything. You don't have to plan anything. You don't have to cook anything. You don't have to clean anything. Yeah. And there's plenty to do on the ship. Like, it's not, we never felt trapped.
Yeah.
Like, there was always places to go and parts of the ship to explore. And then in port, like you wanted to go see, you can take excursions and go see away from the port. There's all kinds of restaurants to try close by. Yeah, we'll have a conversation with Faith.
Yeah, I think I've definitely reconsidered it to some extent because at this point it's all the planning that goes into figuring out vacations that is just kind of starting to weigh on me, of just like trying to think about like, okay, it's hard enough to actually get there and then get to your hotel, and then have to plan out everything, and like with the honeymoon, like I'm starting to look at packages where they handle transportation,
All the things,
where like breakfast is already taken care of for you, and so it's like
Guess
I'm
what? On a
starting
cruise,
to
they
be
take care of all of it for you.
much more willing to pay that premium just to take some of that planning off of my back, because it's like it's a lot on top of everything else that goes on in my life. I'm like, I am definitely like, those packages are looking really nice just to take even just a small part off of my back. And like traveling in a country that English is not the primary language is tough, really, really tough. So, and I don't have the same level of time. And I've also in the last like 4 years have progressively valued my time more and more, and not wanting to spend it all on just trying to find out how the hell do I order a taxi.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's become more valuable.
I have pictures to show you and stories to tell, and we'll convince Faith. So there you go. We got it.
All right. So I also want to talk about, so I introduced you to marble racing, and then
Marble racing, yes.
and then you introduced your classroom kids to it.
Yeah.
And they love it, right?
I've done it a couple times. It's been a while, but they thought it was fun. I did one where each marble represented a different country, and a lot of kids chose the Mexico marble and the U.S. marble and some other ones, but they had a great time watching it and cheering, and yeah, it was fun.
Well, I found a new niche sport that is very exciting. So this is called the Stapler Cup.
Stapler, like staples, like
Stapler. So close to it. It has previously been a local championship, and then as of a few, like 2 or 3 months ago, it is now the World Championship of Forklift Truck Driving.
Oh my gosh, forklift! I can see that. I mean, they didn't make anything into a sport.
And it's so exciting. So the video, they have it all on YouTube. They also have a very nice looking website. Some of it's in German, but luckily Google does a good job of just translating on the page. It is in Germany, yeah.
So forklift driving championship.
Yeah. World championship.
World champion. That's pretty funny.
So there's in it, I'm still getting caught up on everything that's included in this sport. Their championship happens in the spring, I think it was, and of course everything we talk about is always in the link dump, in case you're wondering. But they pick up a load of items, and they're usually like stacked in a way that's like, if you wobble too much, it's gonna come tumbling down, and you got to get from one place to another, as you do with a forklift. But what I saw was, what I've been seeing is people will have to go up on this like teeter-totter, and then they have to make their, like, start on one end of the teeter-totter, make it all the way across with the forklift loaded up with that tower of items, and then they have to deposit it on the other end of the teeter-totter. But obviously it's a teeter-totter, so if you're not careful, you're going to come crashing down. You're not going to be able to drop off your load. And
so it's like forklift driving, but with an obstacle course.
Yeah. I love it.
I bet there's some funny. I bet there's crashes and.
Oh yeah.
What are they carrying? Just fake loads, or is it like glass?
Oh no. It's like rubberized.
That'd be spectacular. Cases of glass goblets that go shattering everywhere. That would make it more spectacular.
I couldn't imagine the poor facilities people that would have to
Cleaning
come
up
in and
after
clean
all the
that
shards
up.
of glass.
Yeah. So I'm going to leave a link to the Stapler Cup on
Stapler cup.
STAPLER, actually. Yeah, so here's an example on the homepage of this big, like, rubberized tower. They,
Oh,
they
okay.
almost look
So,
like
yeah, like
tires that have been
tires that are
stacked up on
just kind
top
of
of each
loaded.
other.
Well, that
Yeah,
looks awkward. Like, that's
it's
not
very awkward.
pallets.
Yeah, no.
I was imagining pallets of things. No, these are like big old truck tires.
Yeah, something that
Precariously
very
stacked.
easily could topple over.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, so
That's funny.
I'm very excited about this, and I definitely plan on watching the next World Championship.
I want to know how you qualify for the World Championships. This is like
Right?
NASCAR where you earn points on certain things and
How many local events are there for you to
that
participate
you exactly
in to
that you have to
qualify?
how many points. Yeah, that's funny. Okay, you have to investigate that more.
Yeah. Okay. And then I also want to talk about. I've been thinking about this lately, especially with the holidays coming up. And to preface this, my mom is always been a very hard in her belief that you shop local, and she hates buying anything online, especially clothes, because she doesn't want to deal with that hassle of trying to send it back and
Oh, I have a
all
box right
that.
over there of stuff to send back. Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of,
And so I'm wondering, is this like a belief that you share too?
we try to, but in the town we live in, you can't get what you need in
Sure.
this little town.
Yeah.
I mean, we try the best we can to support and go get what we need here. But honestly, if I had to drive to go find the time to go drive to get what I need, Amazon will bring it to me half the time that it would take to go drive to go get it. The UPS driver is very good friends with my husband because he sees him all the time. Oh my gosh. So yeah, we do try to.
Okay.
But there's a point when if you live in a big town, in a big city, that's different.
Yeah.
You've got all that stuff close to you. Nate was trying to rebuild a VW. Well, you can't find those things around here.
Sure.
So, of course, Amazon and online, not just Amazon, but online is important to small communities. And I was thinking about that when we were in Alaska. Those little small communities can't get, they have to rely on things being shipped in, but they also don't have overnight delivery like we do here.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. It's a over week delivery.
little, yeah.
So,
But it is important to support local because they're the ones that support our local sports teams and our local kids when they have competitions or whatever they're doing. That's who supports our kids when they are in need of something. So if you don't support local, then they can't support local either.
yeah.
So
Well, what is that percentage markup where if you're looking at an item in a local store and you know you can buy this online, what is that percentage markup that you're willing to pay to then still support local businesses? Because I've been thinking about this a lot and trying to decide what my threshold is.
yeah, it's rough.
I've tentatively come to maybe like a 10% markup.
Well, you actually have a number. I guess it probably depends too on, yeah,
Case by case basis.
yeah, and I think economics of families plays a part in it too. Like if you really can't afford to buy it in town because it's even 10% more, some families can't afford to do that. They
Yeah.
just have to.
And that 10% is definitely variable, like especially as like the item
Yeah,
goes higher,
yeah,
you know.
yep.
But I'm mainly, I guess what I do is I mainly base this off of how much more I'm willing to pay for a board game
Oh, okay.
at our local store
Yeah,
versus
versus
Amazon.
that's a good
'cause
example.
It is always a lot cheaper to buy it online.
Yep.
But I would much rather support my local game store than Amazon or Target.
That's a perfectly good example that you have. I don't really have examples of that around here. Like, because the things that Nate and I buy online, we can't even find in town. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's maybe a little different.
A little harder to answer.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
But if I go to Boise and I don't know, we just don't go travel. We just don't go out of town very often.
Yeah.
So it is easier to order it online and get it here and know it's going to be here. But like you said, your game store, I can see because you guys do a lot of things there and they do a lot of things for local people. So to support them is huge.
Yeah, they're heavily involved with
in the
local
community
organizations.
And if they don't get support from local people, they can't support. It's a give and take from both sides.
And when they go in on something, they really go in on it. They're not basic sponsors. They're usually premium sponsors of things like one of the local food banks, of the college's annual gaming convention that they hold. They really go all in when they do decide to support a cause. So, which I really appreciate. I'm glad they don't just like, we'll be basic of a lot of things. They're like, no, we're gonna, dive head in, or I can't think of the expression right now, but they're gonna dive all in on a few causes that they really care about. So,
I'll just say this too. Because we live in a small town, I have several friends who own small businesses in town. And they also say that it's not just coming and spending money in their store. It's sharing on like Facebook. I always share their posts. I always, compliment and say how great their service is or whatever product they have. And they appreciate that also, getting the word out. So not just spending money at a local business, but promoting that local business on your own platform, whatever it is.
Something that goes along with it is it's so easy to immediately think of the big guy when you want something. If it's like, I feel like small businesses have to do twice as much promotion to make people remember that, hey, I'm selling the same thing, at a marginal markup. Don't forget about me when it's time to buy X. So, yeah. Same goes too for promotion. If you would love to share my podcast, I would greatly appreciate it. I now have video content too. Which leads me into my next thing.
Pumpkin spice.
We have new content online. I've published 3 videos in the last week. One of them is the controversial pizza night.
Okay.
I made a very controversial pizza.
Oh, yes, you
with
did.
some breadsticks, a nice drink, a secondary backup pizza just in case.
I'm sure it was eaten.
And a couple of delightful sauces and whatnot for a pizza night. And so recently published that.
How did it? Are you going to give it away? Can you tell? You'll have to tell me off the microphone then.
I'll tell you. I'm going to tell.
Because it sounded
swear
disgusting.
to God, this is now my top 3 favorite pizza.
Oh my God! I'm sorry, Faith. I'm sorry. Sorry, Faith.
So good. Reheated, I didn't love it as much, but fresh out of the oven, phenomenal.
Are you going to tell people what was on it?
It was a sardine, pineapple, and egg pizza. It was ridiculously
I'm
good.
sorry for anybody that has to participate in that in later in life.
Nobody.
Did you have the pizza all to yourself?
Yeah, nobody would try it. I didn't have a peanut gallery to try anything. No. Yeah, so.
Did the dog probably didn't even want it?
No. She did come and visit me at one point during the video, though. You can see her.
But if you liked it, then good for you.
I loved it.
You can make, that's one of those things when you find something nobody else likes. Guess what?
It's
more for me. Yeah.
Yeah. In the future, if I make it, it would probably be just like a small version. Because like I said, I didn't enjoy it as much warmed up.
So it's got to be fresh out of the oven.
I think it's got to be fresh out of the oven.
Fresh sardines out of the oven.
I had another fantasy football video up. I'm committed to getting those every Wednesday with Eli on the Two Best Friends Play playlist. My first week of fantasy football went terrible. It did not go well. Neither strategy worked for me in my 2 leagues.
Was it go for the really good or go for the really bad? Is that what it was?
One was all about just taking the highest ranking people possible.
Yeah.
And the other was like, okay, I'm pretty much only going to take sleepers and just find the people that have the potential to really just come out of nowhere.
Every year, there are sleepers that come out of nowhere, and they are amazing. But picking the right sleeper is the trick.
Yeah.
Good, yeah, no.
I try to do so much research, and it just...
And even for the top picks, the people that should do really well, you know what? It doesn't always work out that way. Aaron Rodgers would be a perfect example last season. Woohoo. Yeah, see you later.
Yeah, but also on the main channel, the main Alcove Pod channel on YouTube, I am starting to get the full backlog of all of my podcast episodes on there. So if YouTube is your place to go, they hopefully will be done being all uploaded on Monday. I deeply, deeply regret waiting until I had 30 odd episodes to upload before I started doing it. But
you're not even my biological child, and I've already taught you well. Just put it off. Put it off. Put it off.
Yeah. So anyways, that whole backlog will be up, hopefully done by Monday, if not before the next new video episode, because it is absolutely burying like my cooking videos and stuff. Thankfully, I have like playlists to find things easier, but I'll be excited to get all the podcast episodes out there and just caught up so it's not burying my other content. And then here's the big news. I started a new YouTube channel, a secondary one.
Wow.
Just
because you don't have enough to do.
Yeah, I know. This is purely just for tabletop, card, and board games.
Oh.
So I thought I went back and forth a lot about whether or not to put this on just like the main Alcove channel or do something different. And I thought that like the number of like, there's a lot less planning that has to go into doing board and card game videos. And so I can put those out a lot quicker and at a higher volume. And so I was like, I don't want to flood my main channel with this content when a good majority of my audience probably will not be interested at all in board games. And so instead of flooding my main channel, I just made a secondary channel, and that one is called Tabletop Oasis. And it will be linked on the main YouTube channel as a sub channel. But all of it will be everything you want for tabletop board and card games. And I have 2 videos on there already, and they are the unboxing videos for the terrain and the terrain expansion and the battle box for the new Heroescape expansion, which will be kind of probably the majority of the content on this channel is going to be Heroescape. And then after that, we're going to be going through my 80 plus board and card game collection that I have.
Are you going to like explain how to play them, or
we'll be doing like how to
like
play
them,
and then we'll do like a real play video and then try to get into reviews. So the hard part about reviews for me is that I'm not a negative person, and I'll go in and watch a very hated movie and I'll love it. It takes a lot for me to go, I didn't like that. Whether it's a board game or a card game, I don't know. I'm not a very critical person when it comes to that, which made it very difficult in college when they're like peer review essays. I'm like,
oh, they're all good.
It was good.
Hey, everybody gets a 10. Yay!
Like, you could have improved grammar, but content's good. Like it's very hard for me to be judgmental when it comes to things like that. And whereas I just deeply love every game I ever touch, couldn't imagine being negative and saying, well, this game's not so great, blah, 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 blah. But I will say, Dead Men Tell No Tales, the pirate tile laying game.
The game we've played
and
tried to beat.
That game,
almost
trash. Awful. Hate it.
That game is so fun.
It is fun, but it's trash because it's impossible to win. Like it's notorious online for being impossible to win.
Have you seen anybody that's ever beat it?
No.
Okay.
There are people that say they beat it on Reddit, but I have a hard time believing it.
Okay, but that's what keeps us coming back, because we can do it. We're going to be the first ones to beat the pirate game. It's a fun game. That time we played it here, was it New Year's Eve? New Year's when you guys were home. What was there, like 8 of us playing that game? It was crazy.
We maxed out the player count.
It was fun.
So hard. So hard. Anyways, new channels out, also be linked. But if you're into board and card games, we're going to be figuring out the content for that. Like I said, it's going to be about 50% Heroescape and then 50% every other board and card game that we love. Like I said, I have over 80 games now at this point, and that list is always growing. In fact, 90% of our wedding registry is board games.
Need a bigger house, need
So,
more bookshelves. You
yeah,
need
and I
bookshelves
actually
on your
saw a
gift
bookshelf
registry.
you guys have on the side of the road.
Yeah, you can
Yeah,
take
we're
those
grabbing
home
that.
with you.
We're grabbing that.
Yeah,
I
they're
saw
free.
that and I
you
was
don't
like,
even have to pay for them.
Faith, look, we're pulling in the middle, and I was like, wake up, look at this. Yeah. So,
Take whatever you want. On
gotta
the
go
side
grab
of the
that
road.
before someone else drives by and grabs it.
It's been there for a week. I think you're good.
Okay. Well, hopefully it's not water damaged.
Well, I can't promise that because it did rain pretty good this week.
Well, we'll see. The last part that I wanted to bring up was I had previously recommended the podcast S-Town to you.
Yeah.
How did you feel about it? Without giving away too many spoilers, what did you think of the podcast?
He has a really good way of storytelling.
Phenomenal storyteller.
I need to find other ones that he's done.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I haven't looked into what other one, but he has a great way of telling a story.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, to give a brief synopsis, this is a limited series podcast, and so it tells a story over, a few parts.
There's
And
8 or 9. I mean,
yeah, I wanted to say less than 10, but I didn't want
it's
to
right
make a bold
in
claim.
there.
Yeah, so it follows the story of John B. McLemore, a rather eccentric horologist, which is a clock repairman, who originally wanted the show to investigate a murder in his small Alabama town. And let me tell you what, starting episode 2 takes a complete a nosedive in another direction, and your jaw will absolutely drop to the floor several times throughout this story. It is truly an insane story, and I cannot thank my mom enough for telling me to listen to this.
yeah.
And now I tell everyone that has even the slightest interest in audio stories to listen to this, because it is mind-boggling as you progress through the story and find out and learn about everything that's going on in this small town and learn more about John B. McLemore. And it's heart-wrenching. It's just a powerful story through and through. So that is this week's podcast recommendation. Check it out. It's a limited series. Doesn't last very long. It's amazing.
And go find more of his.
Yeah.
Because the story's crazy, but his storytelling, the way he tells the story, makes it.
Unlike anything, like I strive to be able to tell a story like he does, like the podcaster does. So, all right, that wraps it up for.
No, it doesn't. You forgot to tell him what we were drinking.
Oh,
It's
gosh,
Black
you
Rifle
don't.
1776.
There you go. That's what we're drinking. Black coffee. You got some cream
I
in
got cream in. Well,
Okay.
it's I got cream in it.
it. Okay. Now that wraps it up for this week's Saturday Morning Coffee episode. Thank you, Nicole, for joining me.
Yes. No,